All right, so Buck Hut Podcast, episode 3 with my good buddy Dylan Hogan. What's going on, man?
Not much. What's going on with you? How's the trip?
It's pretty good. I'm really tired. I drove all the way here, and I only got like 3 hours of sleep last night. So,
Oof.
but
Yeah, it's a little rough.
yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be poor and not pay for hotel rooms and stuff, you got to be tough. So,
Got to be tough. It's
yeah.
true.
No, that guy's super cool though. Like, I honestly don't know if I'll ever use another taxidermist. Like, he's just super polite every time. We always have a good conversation about something. He's super grateful for like all the work. So, and he's also like, the best in the industry, which kind of helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're doing something like you said, like predators, especially cats.
Yeah, no, I thought I'd always heard that bobcats were the hardest to do, but he told me fox are actually way harder than bobcats because I guess they have like rabbit's fur basically, or like hide. Like
Mm.
they're so thin that like they just cut up easy and whatnot. And it's like if the form's a little bit off or whatnot, like it just like, big time pain. And I told him too, like the fox in the trap kind of got like a nick on its wrist from the trap. Like it didn't destroy the hair or anything, but it like ended up breaking the skin. He's like, oh no, that'll be fine as long as there's no hair missing. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I learned something every time I go there.
Oh, absolutely.
Uh, no, for this one, I kind of want to do something different. Like, not really. Maybe we can relate it to the outdoors, but I kind of just wanted to get your story, like when your life started changing, basically. However long ago that was it like 2 years now?
Yeah, it would have been 2 years ago now. The kind of the height of COVID. So I guess uh so I kind of had like what I would call a spiral about 2 years after high school, just because you kind of peak a little bit in high school, and I was pretty good at football and I was real strong and I liked to lift weights and this and that and the other thing, and I jogged every now and then, so I was in pretty decent shape. But then I went to college and I ended up getting hurt, so I played at a smaller college, and it that kind of out of the gate was kind of I guess messed with me a little bit because I felt like a lot of potential going forward, but it kind of in a way got, I'm not gonna say taken away from me, but it got less and less after the injury, just because when I recovered out of the gate, I wasn't in good of shape. And when that started to happen, I could kind of see it playing out. I didn't respond well because I was kind of weak minded when I was in high school. So I had just a bad attitude about it. So I didn't bounce back that well. And so I kind of had that sour attitude going into the experience in college. So I only had, I didn't even really start. Had a scholarship for the 4 years of eligibility, 5 years of eligibility. I got redshirted, and then after my redshirt year, I just kind of called it quits. And I went to work just because college really wasn't my thing. I was really only there to play football. Um, so that's kind of when the weight gain started, just because that bad attitude and weak mindset. A lot of feeling sorry for myself, and that went on for years. And I got up to at least 425 pounds. I might have been a little heavier. It's pretty bad, pretty rough. Um, and I was just kind of looking around at all the negativity in the world, late 2018, early 2019, moving into 2020, and it really hit ahead when COVID landed in America, so to speak. When it got really big in the United States, and they were talking about, all these restrictions on movement, and people are going to have to quit going to work and quit seeing family and stuff like this. And I saw all over the internet, people were already like, you know, don't call this year a year, and no one's going to have a good year this year, and it's going to be terrible for everyone, and this and that and the other thing. And I kind of took a moment to think, like, why does everybody already have that mindset? I guess, like,
Right.
I've only known you for, a handful of months. You have only been working on my shift for a little while, but like, just I wasn't a super positive person, especially comparatively to now before. But just seeing all that floating around, I was like, man, so many people are already writing themselves off.
Yeah, you
You know what I
knew
mean?
that. Yeah, even then, you knew that someone wasn't supposed to tell you how to feel.
Yeah. And I just didn't like how so many people were already like telling everyone else and themselves that this is going to suck.
Hmm.
So I basically decided, okay, this can suck, or we can decide now that it's not going to suck, and we can do something positive, or try to do something positive, as much as we can, and then just see where it goes instead of already writing off the whole year because of what's going on around us.
Right.
Um, and Joe Rogan and Brett Kresher and one other guy that they run with. I think he's another comedian. I can't remember who it was, but they did for the month of, I want to say, April. It was either April or February. They did a month of the carnivore diet,
Hmm.
and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this diet, and I started late, so I was like, I'm just gonna do it for 30 days. I think in the middle of February or toward the end of February. I'm just gonna do it for 30 days because I tried all kinds of diets and failed and quit, and it always came back to weak mentality and feeling sorry for myself, and it was all mental. It was never like, oh, this diet doesn't work for me or whatever. I think there's probably some diets that do work maybe better for other people. I think as a generalization, what we're doing, and a lot of other people are doing, is probably the way to go, with minor tweaking from case to case. But
Yeah.
so I thought in my head, if I can do a diet that is this strict for 30 days, I ate nothing but meat, salt, and pepper for 30 days and drank water. I didn't add anything to the water. I just meat, salt, pepper, water for 30 days. I shouldn't have an excuse in the world as to sticking to an eating regimen. There
Right.
can't be one, because there's nothing more strict than this. So I did that, and I started listening a lot more to a lot more podcasts. Excuse me. Uh, that branched off because it was mainly the JRE, which is a good one. I think everyone should listen to the JRE at some point in time. I started listening to Marcus Luttrell's podcast a lot. He's got David Rutherford on there. It's Team Never Quit. That's just a major boost of positivity to any situation in any day. Um, and I listened to a little bit of Wes Whitlock's podcast and Aaron Snyder and Frank Peralta's podcast, Kafaru Cast, just because those guys are always covering, tons of stuff. That's, if you're into the outdoor industry at all, from, they obviously focus on hunting, but backpacking all the way through extreme hunts, then it's good information to have and listen to, and they're really entertaining.
Right.
So I really tried to surround myself with a positive mindset, a positive, working hard, something to reinforce everything that I was trying to do. And I think that was detrimental and paramount to what I had going on. And Jocko Willink too. I listened to a little bit of Jocko Willink. So Joe Rogan's always talking about jujitsu. It's something I've been interested in a long time. So once I got from 425 to 430 ish, I down to about 385. I started looking into combat sport gyms, mainly jujitsu, in our area, and I was kind of putting the situation because I don't like to be into something like this and not take it seriously. I think you know me well enough now to really kind of know that when I get into something, especially if it's something I'm passionate about, I'm going to go 110% full bore, dive in out of the gate. And I
Right.
wasn't really sure I was there yet because I was still walking around, like I said, like almost 390 pounds. I was not in good shape.
Bro, that was the first thing Corey said to me when I saw him at New Year's. He was like, "Dude, your boy Dylan, like, he's committed to this shit."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like that's one thing I always try to say. I'm not the youngest dude in the game. I'm already 28 years old. I don't know if I'll ever rise above high level what people would call amateur competitions, high level amateur comps. But and if nothing else, I'll work hard. I might not be the strongest guy, I might not be in the best shape. I might not be the smartest or most technical guy out there, but I'm going to do everything I can to outwork everybody that I think I'm going to be up against. And I've always tried to have that mindset going into it. I Googled the place locally. It's called Wolves Den. It's the first place I went and looked at. I really liked the owner and instructor. And I started, I think, a week later. And the reason I did that is because when I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I'm in good enough shape yet, or, I don't know if I'm going to do this. I'm going to want to be really committed in, and I'm not sure I can handle the mental feeling of not being able to do it well. That really messes with my ego. I hate to say it, but that really would messes with my ego, which I need to be better about getting it under control. A lot of us have that issue, I think, overall, just as people. So
right.
always something that people need to be aware of. But I heard a podcast by Jocko Willink, and there were two questions. It was just a Q&A, but there were two questions that really stuck out to me. And one of them was, how did you get to be so tough? And do you think that you were just born different than other people? And the other question was, when is the best time to start something? How much planning should you do before you start a journey, so to speak, or a project or whatever it may be? And the answer to the tough question was pretty funny because he just got confused, and he was like, whenever a situation comes up, you can either choose to be tough or you can choose not to be tough.
Right.
And you just have to choose to be tough. And over time, it gets easier as the decisions get harder and escalate. But if you never choose to be, no one's born any different, so to speak, than anyone else to a certain extent. But overall, if it doesn't matter who you are, if you're not going to choose to be tough, then you're never going to be tough. That stuck with me a lot. And then the other one was the other answer to the question about when to start something. He said, you shouldn't plan anything. You should just start it.
Dude, I 100% agree with that. Everything I've ever done, so I kind of had a low point in my life, probably through 2.5, 3 years ago or so. It's probably closer to 3. And it's I told myself that day, when I finally decided to start making some changes, don't think, just jump into the stuff and figure it out, because you're gonna
absolutely
it literally 90% of the time it goes completely different than you imagine anyways, so you might as well just go ahead and get started.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
couldn't agree with
and
that more.
You're committed. Then you're committed in the moment. You're committed to whatever you were thinking about doing, and once you're committed, like you said, it's going to be a lot easier to figure it out, because things are going to change. You're going to have to roll with the punches. Things aren't going to be what you planned for. And if you spend all your time planning on something, then it's kind of going to turn into that situation where it's, oh, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah,
well, tomorrow's not a definitive thing. Tomorrow's always tomorrow. Is tomorrow, exactly. Is it Thursday? Is it Friday? Is it, there's no definitive, okay, I'm doing this now. So in order to just remove that potential of an excuse away from you, you just need to say now. Right now, as soon as I'm thinking about it, I'm doing it now. And once I heard that, that's when I was driving in the moment. I think I was driving to work, but I hopped on Google, looked at the gym, went and met him. The head instructor, Andrew, probably thought I was nuts because I walked in at 385, 390 pounds. I was like, hey, I want to start training here, and I want to be on if your gym has a competitive team, I want to be on your competitive jiu-jitsu team. And he said, okay, well, we're going to have to see how you handle some classes first and so on and so forth. And he was real nice and respectful. Like I said, in the back of his head, he probably thought I would have thought I was crazy looking at me. But I joined the gym. I was training for, I could only get in there really 1 or 2 days a week at first. But then, like 3 weeks later, my second son was born. So I got paternity leave. So I got 8 weeks off of work. And as soon as we got home from the hospital, I was in 6 days a week for, 2 hours a day, training hard, hitting it hard. I started doing more research on the diet, really diving into what was working for me, what wasn't working for me, how I felt. I got more in tune with kind of my body and how it responds to certain food and nutrition, and kind of help build a profile in my head of what I needed.
So,
plenty of questions from everyone there. I'm a firm believer in. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask your diet. Like you started carnivore on your own or whatever, and once that 30 days were up, is that when you met with a nutritionist, or did you kind of just roll into stuff on your own
No,
after that?
I switched to a really, really high meat based keto diet kind of. So I included a couple things that most people wouldn't consider full on carnivore. And that worked really well for me. I kept losing tons of weight. But like I was going to say, I was always asking people questions. So like, I only spent a year in college. I'm not a doctor. I'm not certified. I'm not a sports nutritionist or anything like that. I'm fortunate enough to know a lot of people that have a lot of knowledge on it and do have those certifications and do have, like, the nutritionist I work with now, he has a master's and taught the master's program in sports nutrition for a while at a university in Illinois. So I'm fortunate enough to be around people like that. And I'm a firm believer that you can learn anything from anyone. There's not a single person in this world who I know more of a subject on than them, right? There's at least going to be one subject that they know an immense amount of information more than I do. So I can learn at least something about that subject from them. So I was constantly asking people questions. That road, as I kept training and boosted up my training and got more and more committed, and kept tweaking to the diet. Okay, one person would say, well, how much water are you drinking? I'm like, okay, well, I try to hit a gallon a day. Oh, well, you need to drink a minimum of a gallon a day, and then maybe even more, depending. Like you were having kind of a plateau. So I said, well, let's up your calories, up your water. Eat the same stuff, but up your calories, up your water. And then all of a sudden you start shredding weight again.
Right.
I dealt with all those same issues. And then just from being able to ask people and discuss how I was feeling with them and so on and so forth, that helped build up my knowledge base with some trial and error. Eventually to the point where I got down to just mid last year, I guess, I was about 270 pounds when I started at 430, 430-ish. And that's when I started to have some major plateaus, and which is to be expected. That's a lot of weight down.
Right.
But I felt like I needed more of that knowledge. I needed a bigger knowledge base than what I had. That's when I started working with a nutritionist. His name's Jacob Schur. Schur Chiropractic is where he works out of. I don't know if I shameless plug, I guess, but he's super knowledgeable. And like I explained to you, he's not ever going to be like, look, this is exactly what we're doing. This is how it's got to be done. And if it's not working, I don't care. You must not be doing it right. Because everyone's bodies are a little bit different. Like I eat more beef than probably anyone I know. And it's because I can physically tell when I eat 18 ounces of beef versus 18 ounces of chicken, how my body is processing that beef and how I'm responding to that beef versus the chicken.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying chicken's bad for you or it's bad for me or it makes me sick or anything like that. I just know that my body processes beef more efficiently and better for me. So I can turn around and get back to doing whatever I was doing. I can go back to training. I have a finite eating window, so I eat a lot of food in a short amount of time. I need whatever's going to work with me the best. Jacob is right out of the gate going to tell you this is not a cookie cutter process. No one is going to be the exact same. You're going to have to, ask me tons of questions. You're going to have to tell me how you're feeling. I'm going to have questions for you. We're going to have to adjust this together as we go. And if you're going to do something like this, and you're going to be working with someone, that's the first thing you need to see in that person, in my mind. If they're going to sit down and say, hey, this is the diet we're doing and we're sticking to it, and this is what you're going to eat, and your calorie count's insanely low or whatever, and you're not feeling good, and they're like, well, it's just going to be how it is, that's a major red flag.
Yeah, that ain't the guy for you. That's what a lot of people really questioned me on in the beginning, was like, you're kind of just gambling with this. Like, you probably should be consulting with someone. But literally, while I agree, it'd probably be best to work with someone from the start. But I'm a little bit more of a risk taker. I just thought, whatever, I'm jumping into this, and I don't really like making appointments and all that stuff. But besides, anyways, you become someone that's never done anything like this. They don't realize how in tune you become with your body. Like, you start realizing
absolutely.
those deficiencies and what's working, what's not working, that makes it a little easier to pinpoint what questions to ask to make those adjustments. Whereas, like, I wouldn't just go and do this on my own, reading stuff off the internet. Like, that'd probably be a really solid road for failure. But, like, you had already lost basically 200 pounds at that point. Like, I felt like I had a pretty good, you're not, like you said, not certified in any of this or anything, but I had a pretty good knowledge base to work off of.
Yeah, I would never claim to be an expert or certified or anything like that, because clearly that takes a lot of extra work. And it's not that I wouldn't go do it or anything like that. It's just I haven't, so I wouldn't make that claim or claim to be equal in their knowledge. But like you said, at this point in time, I've lost 205-ish pounds in just about 2 years, a little under, but just about 2 years. And the thing is like I said, I'm around people, and I try to put myself around people that are extremely knowledgeable. And whenever I'm around them, I'm asking questions. And
yeah, that's big.
All the
Do
time.
your own research.
Anytime I have a question, I'm gonna ask it. Joe Rogan once said, I'm not a very smart guy, but I memorize the crap smart people say.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's massive.
That.
Like, yeah, if you can just have that mindset in small amounts in your daily life, you will be amazed at how much change you can see in your mindset and your life overall, just by trying to take bits and pieces of what other people are talking about or saying.
Exactly. That might not sound like the problem solver mindset, but you'll realize once you start churning all that information on your own and processing it, that you're going to be solving way more problems than you would have ever thought.
Oh, absolutely. And you're going to be a better listener too, which is huge, because I know before I was not a very good listener. I think a lot of people in today's world aren't, just because of communication via just text messaging and instant messaging and things like that.
Too much noise.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people go into discussions with a preconceived notion or thought process in their head. And I know I was really bad about this, about certain subjects and certain things. It's already in your head. It's already formulated in your head. I mean, people, I'm sure people that they're going to argue with you before you even say what you say, because they're not concerned with what you really had to say. They're thinking of a retort.
Right.
They're not thinking about what you said. They're thinking of a retort. And I was like that to a certain extent for a long time, but I really tried to take that bit of information I got off, Joe Rogan, to kind of the heart. And it really is amazing what you'll pick up and learn if you just try to memorize little bits of information, little nuggets of gold from what people say. And it really is big. You can really learn a lot.
I completely agree. And then with that too, like now, like you've got stuff figured out. Well, I guess I'm the same way now too because I'm kind of in the same boat. Once you got like your main stuff figured out, you're always diving deeper into trying to figure out the next best thing or how I can improve in this way. So it's like it's more of a
Yeah.
lifestyle than anything.
Oh, absolutely. It is a major lifestyle commitment, lifestyle change. I mean, you know how it is because you've done it yourself. And you're definitely to the point you dived into it hard right out of the gate. You were really open to any and all information I had. You didn't really, I'm not saying don't question people because you should always have in the back of your mind, you should always check your sources or whatever. But you trusted me and I was really open with you and honest with you. And you got to figure it out quick. Now you're to the point where you don't even have a ton of questions anymore because, like you said, you're so in tune with your body now that you can feel and tell, oh, today I didn't have as many calories as I should have. I need to up my protein. I need to do this. I need more
Right.
fat in me today. I need
Yeah.
more water. And all of those things are crucial in making those lifestyle changes in order to just better yourself physically and mentally. The benefits are insane. I'm a firm believer that this is really how people are supposed to be living. And the other thing is I guess to bring it back into the whole thing back into the buck hut, you're going to be a better hunter, generally speaking, if you're in better shape. And
Absolutely.
you're that goes for everybody. I know that a lot of people, throw flack at Midwestern deer stand hunters, but you know, if you watch extensive amount of footage on Western, Midwestern deer stand whitetail hunting, some of those guys are tracking in 7 miles one way, public
Yeah.
land
It
sometimes with
completely
a
depends on
stand
what
on
you're
their
doing.
back. Yeah, it
Or
all
even
depends on the
just being
situation.
able being able to hold your bow at full draw for 2 minutes, waiting for the perfect shot on a whitetail. Like there's so many things that
Absolutely.
you could benefit from on this. Uh, like I know it's not a real physical style of hunting, but there's many things to benefit from just making a few lifestyle changes.
Absolutely. And dragging a deer out's rough.
Dude,
There
no,
was I helped someone before I started getting into shape. I helped some. It was a big deer. I think it dressed at 187 pounds, field dress. So it was a pretty solid buck. But I was helping him drag it out, and I was like, terrible.
yeah,
This is before
no,
I
man.
lost any weight. This is before I was back in the gym. This is before I was training again, and I was like, we only had to drag it like 120 yards,
Yeah,
which that's still a pretty good distance, but I was
yeah,
just like, oh my God, this is miserable.
yeah. No, I completely get that. The last buck I shot in 2020, it was just me and my dad up at the farm, and it was like real early in the morning. So like we didn't want to make a bunch of noise driving around or anything. To like take a truck because I shot this buck and it was right on the edge of our field. It went 50 yards to the woods, right on the other side of the neighbor's field. So we're like, okay, we'll just drag it straight back through the woods and just put it on our side. Come get it with the tractor, dude. I'm telling you, that was 50 yards. Like, all right. So technical difficulties. That's what happens on mobile podcast.
Yeah, this might be the first one ever. You're pioneering whole new
I
type of podcast.
know this is yeah. I might just get somewhere this style. Wouldn't recommend it. If you're gonna do it, I would say metropolitan, major highway systems, not the middle of fucking nowhere in Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah. There's probably not a whole lot of service coverage.
Yeah. No, I was just making a point. I think where we left off was when I was still grossly overweight. Me and my dad were like dying, dragging a deer 50 yards to the woods to get it on our side of the property. Like there's many benefits to be had from this stuff. And it's frozen again.
think the connection's a little weak again.
Yeah, I'm in a rough spot. Okay, so just to wrap that podcast up, it got cut short with technical difficulties. We're going through the middle of nowhere in Tennessee, and we hit a lot of traffic. And I'm pretty sure the semi's Wi-Fi uh, was interfering with our connection, and it just kept kicking me off of our hotspot. So it got cut a little bit short, but we were pretty much wrapping it up anyways. Um, I don't know what it caught, but I was just mentioning that, uh, while whitetail hunting is not the most physical pursuit, like overall, just changing your lifestyle is going to help you in that situation regardless, whether it's pulling your bow back or dragging a deer, you know, anything relating to that, climbing up in your stand, like you're going to eliminate a lot of risk or the very limited risk that's involved with that. And I'm really glad that I got to have Dylan on. It's something we've been talking about doing for like a super long time. And I finally just kind of gave us the avenue to do it. So he's going to be on here a lot, and we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff. And yeah, I'm really happy for him. Uh, he's completely turned his life around, and he probably added 10 years onto my life as well by giving me the information to make the lifestyle changes. So I'm really appreciative of his friendship for that, and can't wait to have him back on. So that's it for this one.